This is January the 7th, 2021, and this class is World History. Now, we are looking at an artist's drawing of Jamestown. Jamestown was the first English settlement to be located in the first English colony of Virginia. Jamestown was begun and named in honor of the new king, James I. By 1619, Virginia became a thriving colony. What I mean by that is Virginia has found a cash crop, a crop that the Virginians can grow and make a profit. In all, we would have 13 colonies when the American Revolution broke out. Each colony is going to be started for a different reason. For our purposes, we are going to take the 13 colonies and we are going to divide them into three broad groups. Royal colonies. A royal colony is a colony in which the governor is appointed by the king and parliament, and the colony is going to have a cash crop, and the cash crop is going to go to help the mother country, England. This is what we call in economics mercantilism. The second type of colonies are those that have a proprietor. Now, this is a portrait of William Penn. William Penn in 1660 had helped King Charles II achieve the throne after the death of Cromwell. Now, the king, Charles II, had to pay William Penn back, but the king did not have enough gold on hand. So the king went to William Penn and said, "Would you accept land in the New World?" And Penn said yes, under the proviso that Penn would be the person who would run the colony. This is what we call a proprietary colony. The Penn family continued to run Pennsylvania up to the American Revolution. The last colony are colonies that are started for religious reasons. During the reign of Charles I, Catholics are going to go to the New World to found Maryland. The Separatists are going to go to the New World and found the colony of Plymouth. The Puritans are going to go to the New World and find the colony of Massachusetts Bay. In all, there will be 6 colonies that are created for religious reasons. However, by the time of the American Revolution, all of these colonies have turned to becoming royal colonies. For survival, most religious colonies preached toleration. In other words, you could live in our colony if you are of our faith. But if you are not of our faith, you may live in our colony as long as you don't put our faith down. Now, this is one of the major differences between the English and the Americans. The Americans have always preached toleration, where the English have not. The American colonies were cut off from English control during the 1600s. That would be the 17th century. That was the time of the English Civil War. And to be honest with you, the English were so busy fighting with each other that they could not deal with the colonies. Each of the colonies are going to start its own local government. This is in violation of the rules set down by the Crown. Each of the colonies is going to create an industry. This is in violation of the rules set down by the Crown. In American history, we refer to this as salutary neglect. And this is why the Americans will feel fairly comfortable breaking away from the British in the 1700s or 18th century. By the 1700s, the 18th century, the Hanovers are firmly in control of the monarchy. The House of Commons has taken over from the House of Lords and is the dominant power in Parliament. The English believe it is now time to take a more active control of the Americas. Now, this will be, in many cases, objected to by the Americans. Parliament is going to pass what is called a Navigation Act. Now, the Navigation Act forbid trade between the colonies and other countries. Now, the American colonies had created a quite profitable trade between themselves and the Spanish, between themselves and the Portuguese, between themselves and the French. The English now said that this was illegal. But for the American trade people, they could make a great deal of money. So for the most part, they ignored the law. This got them in trouble with the English and will cause problems down the road. The English are going to take over Dutch colonies in the mid-1600s and Swedish colonies at about the same time. We know that New Netherlands is going to be taken by the English and formed into New York and New Jersey. The Swedish colony will be taken over and renamed Delaware. All of this was done to expand the British Empire. In the 18th century, the 1700s, the English colonies have now come in competition with the French colonies who are located in what is now Canada. It's as if North America just ain't big enough for these two great powers. The flashpoint, the problem is going to occur in the Ohio River Valley. In 1756, the war is going to break out on the Ohio River Valley, and the English are going to have problems defeating the French. The conflict between the French and the English are part of a bigger war called the 7 Years' War. Now, the 7 Years' War will actually start in Europe, but it will be fought in every continent save Antarctica. The war itself will determine the supremacy of the British throughout the world. Now, when you study this war in American history, it is called the French and Indian War. Now, here is a brief rundown of the war. In time, the British will defeat the French in Quebec. Additionally, battles will be fought in Europe, in Prussia and Austria, which are German states, in Asia and India. It is in India where the war took a very dark and ugly turn. British civilians are going to be incarcerated in Calcutta, India. And there they will be denied food and water, and many of them will die of disease. This is where the expression, the Black Hole of Calcutta, comes from. The war basically ends in 1762. Here, the British General James Wolfe is going to defeat the French at Quebec. All of New France is going to fall to the English, and now France is going to sue for peace. The French are going to give away all of their possessions in North America, India, and Asia in what we call the Treaty of Paris of 1763. Normally I could give two hoots if you remember dates, but whenever we study this time period, there are two Treaty of Parises, one that ended the French and Indian War and one that ended the American Revolution. The only way we can tell them apart is if we put the dates in. Because of the amount of money the English had to spend to win the 7 Years' War, they believe that taxes must be raised in all of the colonies in all of the continents. And this desire for taxes is going to be a flashpoint here in North America and eventually cause the American Revolution. This would be a good place for us to stop for today.